Well, let's talk about that. What do you think of Boris Johnson saying those ridiculous comments?
I mean, I'm not surprised, first of all, but I think it's divisive, and like being angry is like the easiest thing. So I'm not going to let Boris Johnson push my buttons. I think Muslim women, you know, bear the brunt of a lot of kind of clumsy phrases or clumsy attitudes and statements. So like this is just one of very many. And I think this is a bit like, I don't know much about politics, but I think in terms of to be able to call someone a robber, it takes one to know one, and like the Tories are robbing us. So it's kind of like, well, you should know, I probably paid for his haircut, which is really bad. So I should do better, and he should do better.
It's always intrigued me, the hair thing with Boris. And I know people like it, and I don't get why they like it. It's like, it's a messy haircut. It doesn't.
People like it.
Well, they do. People seem to embrace it and say it's a wonderful thing that he's got this messy hair. And I'm always thinking, to me, you know, I was always told as a kid, when you go for interviews, make sure you have shiny shoes and do your hair and make yourself look clean. It's like he's turning up representing the country and he can't even do his hair. And it always frustrates me that. I'm thinking, someone tell him to comb his hair. But I think he does it on purpose, doesn't he? It's part of his clown image. The sort of letterbox thing, though, and the bank robber, it's why do you think he's using that language, though?
I think he's using it because he can. But for me, it feels really old. Like, if you're going to have racial epithets, at least make it modern or something. But this very, you know, juvenile, very, very kind of like maybe 10, 15 years ago.
So he's a really bright guy, right?
Yes.
Let's
Let's
not question that.
Yeah.
He's very smart. He knows his stuff, and he's used, as you said, juvenile, childish language. He's used it for a purpose.
Yeah.
We cannot deny, because it wasn't in an interview.
No.
Like you're doing with me here, where we've both said something which we regret. He's actually written it down, so he knows what he's writing. He's writing juvenile, so he's doing it for a purpose,
Yes.
and that's the thing. Do you think he's doing it because he wants to do the Trump thing? He says the shock thing, tries to get people debating it. Theresa May's had to come out today and say, I don't like his language and all that. So she's gone against him. He's got a lot of fans. Do you think that's what he's trying to do? He's trying to position himself by using that sort of language.
Is it that no publicity is bad publicity? Because, you know, yesterday before he said it, nobody was talking about him, and it's a easy way to get his name like hashtag or, you know, trending, if you want to call it that. But it's just, I don't know, it's difficult to say what his motivation was. I wouldn't, there are similarities with the Trump approach, but I just think even, you know, when ISIS was coming out and he was saying that, you know, people are radicalized by porn, he seems to be able to push certain pressure points at certain times. And for me, the frustration isn't exactly just what he said, but it's like just bringing Muslims back into the storm. Just when things are settling, then it's just bringing us back into this kind of politicized area. And so it's always controlled by you know, outside forces and not Muslims' views or actions.
Do you find that hard then? Do you find you're under siege constantly?
Not constantly, but yes, inconsistently or out of our control. So like I said, with comedy, when ISIS were out, my audiences were scared of me. Like they were like, don't want to not laugh in case she blows us up, but don't want to laugh and offend her.
I shouldn't be laughing at that.
No,
Don't let me laugh at that.
Laugh.
No, I shouldn't laugh at that.
Yeah, but you should laugh.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm a comedian. Like, I want you to laugh. But it's like, so they were scared, and then that scared me, and it was like triggering for everybody and uncomfortable. And then Trump came along, and he was Mr. Bad Guy. So it was like, oh, we can like Muslims because he's the worst guy. And so then he died down a little bit because he's like upsetting mothers and children, and like, you know, that situation's going on. So then now Boris is coming. So it's always Muslims somehow just, you know, being used by I would say as a political football, you know, and the tide is always just as it's settling, it gets bad again.
Yeah.
It's not a nice way to kind of like to be. I suppose I don't want to moan about it. It's just awkward.
Why do they wear they? That's again another word I wish I hadn't used. But why do Muslim women some of them wear the burqa?
Okay, you mean the face one, which
I
is the
don't
niqab?
I don't know.
All right, that's
Sorry,
fine. So this
apologies.
One, that's okay. Don't worry.
I'm talking about the one which Boris
Yeah.
Johnson's talking
Yeah,
about.
so that's called a niqab, but I mean
Yeah.
it can be used interchangeably with a burqa,
Right,
which is the
okay.
robe as well.
Okay.
So basically, there's a hadith hadith from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he said that women should cover everything but this and this. So there's different interpretations. So some people think
Apart from this and this, what's
yeah,
that mean?
hands.
Oh, hands.
And some people interpret it as the face can be like they should be covered except the hands and the face. And some people interpret it as the hands and the eyes.
Right.
So the people who are wearing it, they've obviously taken the interpretation to be that what he wanted is for women to cover everything but the hands and the eyes. But it's like, it's just a personal choice. I've met women who've covered with that, with niqab, sorry, and they are basically, you know, their faith is at that level where they're comfortable in you know, expressing themselves that way. There must be positives. They don't have to wear makeup. You know, they don't have to, you know, I don't know, but there must be good points of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's up to them. I wouldn't.
Why wouldn't you?
Because, you know, I think I'm enough on stage for the audiences as it is. But I just think...
you couldn't do comedy, could you?
No, probably.
Because you need to... again, I might regret saying that. You
No,
can't show
it's okay.
facial expressions.
It's an exchange of energy,
Yeah.
and you're blocking quite a lot of that.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the women who wear it, but it's just I wouldn't want to wear it because I like to be able to... I think... If I'm really honest, I think that this scarf is alienating enough as it is. I don't.
Do you think it is?
Yes.
Do you?
Can be. It can be.
I think because I live in London,
yeah,
I spend the whole of my day on the tube and doing all that sort of stuff. I just see
It's like the tide. If we were the bad guys at the minute, it'd be more so. We're not the bad guys because Boris Johnson just said something, so we're the victims. But it's like there's all these different kind of elements and forces going on that we can't control. So people aren't judging me based on me because I wear the scarf. They're judging me on what's going on with Islam in the news as well. And so that's a hard thing to kind of carry around with you sometimes.
It's quite extreme though, isn't it, to cover the whole of your face just to have your eyes. You know, we've all got to be honest here. The first time I saw someone in real life dressed up, I was like, wow, because it is quite a shocking, not shocking. Oh God, I
know what you mean.
It's
No,
like,
no,
it's
I know
such
what
an
you mean.
unusual thing to see. Someone walking down the road like that, and then
Dare I say radical?
Yeah, dare you say that? And then, so I suppose that it's kind of it doesn't fit in the comfort zone of many people. And I was saying this, I can't remember who I was saying this to on my podcast not so long ago. I feel a lot of racism and a lot of intolerance is due to fear and not understanding. So you know, if I sat down with someone and they said I wear this because it's from the Quran and all this sort of stuff, thinking, oh, okay, I understand now, but we're told we're force fed with it's because they're not allowed to be seen by other men and things.
Oh no, it's like I have so many stories of women who wear the niqab and their husbands don't want them to cover. Their husbands don't even want them to wear the headscarf. Like their husbands want them to look attractive to show that they're like, you know, I'm with this.
Right.
But like it's a woman's choice. That's definitely what I've come across. I'm not trying to dispute that there might be some kind of few relationships where the guys kind of like really enforce certain
So why is that? Because it's pushed in the media constantly that it's not the woman's choice. Why is that? Why is that being forced upon us then? Why do you think that is the message coming across to us?
I think it's because, and this might be like convenient because like I'm an Asian woman who wants to have a voice, but I think it's because we don't have a voice and people always speak for us. So you probably don't get to hear firsthand, like you just said, why that person's wearing the niqab. You don't get to hear it. And
so your role is getting bigger as we speak because you are a voice and you're doing it with comedy as well.
Yeah,
you're an important voice then.
Thank you. I like to think so. Not always, not after I've had a drink.
But you're gonna be made into more of an important voice though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just good because I'm kind of different. I'm not representative of any particular kind of view. I'm not very, what would you say? I'm not on either end of the spectrum.
How important is comedy then for this type of thing? How
I think it's so important because it disarms people and people don't, you're not preaching to them because if it's either going to be white people with a lot of white guilt in a seminar being, yeah, we hate ourselves and we love you and you're great and we don't want that. We don't like your white guilt isn't productive,
right.
But we also don't want like the opposite end of that either. So with comedy, it's relaxing, and then people can just be like, she said some fucked up shit, and you know. But hey, I didn't think of some of these things could come out of her mouth, and you know, maybe they're just like us.
What you need is you need comedy to to question things. That's what you need, and by doing it through comedy rather than protest. And I'm not saying anything wrong with protest, by the way, but protest and always it's radical statements and stuff like that. That always gets a bit, after a while you just park that to one side. Then comedy comes along, and I think it's a really interesting way of getting views across, and also helping get ideas across as well.
Yeah.
What are you going to say in your interview tomorrow? You're doing an interview.
I haven't accepted it yet.
Oh, haven't you?
But my agent is at the Fringe, so I wanted to run it by him, but he hasn't answered. So I think I'll go on there. But what I said is what I said to you, which is basically that it's divisive. I don't want him to be the one to push my buttons or control how I feel or how, it's been going on so long. It's getting silly now. And like, I probably would have been upset about it maybe a few years ago, but it's just like, it doesn't feel like it's coming from a real place. He just says these things. But I don't think that he cares about what he says or the people he's talking about. I don't think he knows us. What was the thing that he was writing? I didn't realise he'd said it in...
Do you know what? It's...
Sorry, it's my bad. I should have checked. But
no, he wrote it in... Was it The Telegraph? It was an article about... I'm not sure it's about. He said...
you know what? I think a Muslim girl...
Has Denmark banned it?
Yeah. And then, like, some people are like, how are we behind Denmark? I just think a Muslim girl broke his heart or something.
Yeah.